Number 10, a phone number? Yep, that's right. Getting a hold of a demon is even easier. Not only can you call them forth with white chalk circles and the blood of a virgin, you can also just use your cell phone, though the consequences may be deadly. If you are deciding to change your number, choose anything but 0888888888. This number has a history of dead bodies behind it and you don't want to be next. The first person to have this number was Mobile's CEO Vladimir Grashnov, who died of cancer at age 48 in 2001. Now we all know cancer to be one of the worst diseases on the planet, and worse yet, it can affect just anyone. So you may be thinking, though sad, his death is not unheard of. But then the number was passed on to a Bulgarian mob boss who was assassinated in 2003. Okay, he had it coming. But then how do we explain the sudden violent death of the number's next owner, Konstantin Dishlev, who was shot outside of a restaurant in 2005? Since then, the number has been suspended after the amount of bodies that followed it couldn't be ignored. Many believe that this number carried with it a demonic presence, condemning all its owners to death. Ooh, we don't know. Number 9, the dark mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, be you cursed or not at all. Mirrors, although a resource for vanity, carry a lot of lore alongside them. From vampires to seers and doorways to parallel universes, mirrors aren't always what they appear to be. The dark mirror is a real object that looks like it came straight out of Harry Potter's Borgin and Burkes. It was purchased by its first owner at the Columbus Psychic Fair, so no wonder. Intended to be used as a scrying mirror, so like a crystal ball. The owner reported nothing but disturbing images and terrible visions. Now it sits in a traveling museum where even visitors report seeing horrid images such as their own corpse or those of loved ones not yet dead. Not only does it look terrifying, but whatever left this object behind has something dark planned, and it should only take one guess as to what it was. A demon. Number 8. The Annabelle Doll. Duh. Of course this doll was left behind by a demon. It was possessed by one, after all. Thanks to the movie series, this doll has become one of the reasons people have an aversion to them in the first place. I know I do. I remember American Girl dolls, My friend was obsessed with them and I couldn't get over their dark, beady little eyes, Unlike the movies, Annabelle was actually a vintage Raggedy Ann doll that a woman named Donna received as a gift from her mom. That's nice. But the strange thing was, it had a tendency to move around the apartment. One minute it would be sitting on the bed, the next it would be on a couch or have its legs crossed. She suddenly started finding notes reading help in the apartment and came home one night to see the doll covered in a mysterious red substance, probably blood. We don't know. They contacted a medium who said the doll was simply haunted by a girl who passed away in the building. The doll allegedly killed their friend Lou when he got up to investigate noises after he voiced concerns about the doll. So that's when the Warrens got involved. The Warrens detected a sinister presence, a demonic being, a demonic one, straight from hell. And after a botched exorcism, the Warrens decided to keep it secure in a glass box at their Connecticut museum. That's one bit I never understood about that part. Why was their reaction after the exorcism failed to keep it and go, nah, we'll just keep it in a glass box so its beady little doll eyes will stare at the guests walking past. Anyways. Moving on. Number 7, superhuman strength. Many people who claim to have been possessed by demons claim they were left with a kind of supernatural strength. Ivy League educated, board certified psychiatrist Dr. Richard Gallagher witnessed this firsthand. Somehow this proud man of science became the church's go-to guy whenever there was an exorcism. Whenever someone tries to convince the church that they're possessed by a demon or know someone who is, they're sent to Gallagher for a mental evaluation. But in this interview with CNN, Richard never expected to see some of the things he did. But one of the most unexplainable things was the strength of one of his own patients. Gallagher says, and I quote from the interview, quote, "There was one woman who was 90 pounds soaking wet. She threw a Lutheran deacon who was about 200 pounds across the room. That's not psychiatry. That's beyond psychiatry," unquote. The doctor is now a firm believer in the affliction and has even more stories to tell, but this was one moment that stuck with him forever. Number 6, overturned crucifixes. One of the more common signs of a demon having visited are overturned crucifixes. Imagine seeing a picture of your ex while visiting your family, or maybe they're famous and their pictures are everywhere. You'd probably want to put that picture frame face down so you'd never have to see it again. This demons can relate to, especially when you're a fallen angel who got kicked out of heaven. Seeing a sign of your old dad would probably piss you off, especially considering how famous God is and all. Many followers of Catholicism hang crucifixes around the house to ward off demons, but if one has chosen to visit, you may find one, if not all of them, flipped upside down to honor the guy below, so watch out out for that. Number 5, Sulfur. Have you ever smelled rotten eggs out of nowhere? Well, I'm here to tell you that demons fart too. Yep. They're just like us. Demonic spirits tend to leave behind the scent of sulfur because, you know, they're from the burning pits of hell and it smells like rotten eggs down there. You remember that scene from Shrek where Donkey thinks Shrek let one rip? Yeah. Brimstone is the biblical word for sulfur. So if you suddenly pick up that scent, do these 3 things. 1, check to see if someone is peeling some hard-boiled eggs. 2, ask your friend or whoever is beside you if they let one rip. 3, if the answers to 1 and 2 are no, then get to the church ASAP Rocky. Regarding number 2, make sure you surround yourself with the kinds of friends you know you could get a straight answer from about that. You know, no one needs that kind of doubt when demons are at play. Number 4, unexplained bites and scratch marks. Ever woken up with a scratch you couldn't explain or a bruise you didn't know you got? Well, I'm sorry to say that unless you sleep like this, then you probably were visited by a demonic presence, or at least a ghost. In an attempt to possess or torment you, restless spirits will try to cause you harm if they can't enter your body. So if you do sleep like, then make sure to keep your nails filed so you can distinguish between accident and evil. Number 3, the Antichrist. Many evil people on this earth have been accused of being the Antichrist, from Osama bin Laden to Rasputin and even a couple of popes. But what is the Antichrist? Well, he's the son of Satan. The Antichrist is prophesied to be the complete opposite to Jesus, said to be born of a woman who lies about her virtue. So, in a way, Satan, as the king of demons himself, leaves behind his spawn to wreak havoc on the earth. Also known as the lawless man and son of perdition, Christian lore has evolved this theory into categorizing anyone who fits the bill as an Antichrist. An easy identifier is someone in power who seeks to oppress and destroy the good and the poor. I'm sure a couple names come into mind. Number 2, Poltergeists. So, many people know poltergeists to be ghosts on steroids, basically. They're angry, vengeful spirits that just love to mess with your shit, essentially. They are literally able to pinch, bite, break, and attack humans as well as break your TV. But many people don't believe they aren't just ghosts, but something more, like a demon or the psychic energy left by one. They are very similar to succubuses, who are a kind of demon that feed off your energy. So, like Dementors from Harry Potter. Man, that's 2 Harry Potter references in one video. Are we impressed? I think so. Anyway, since demons are drawn to those who are tormented by, let's say, depression, this seems like a pretty likely idea. Some theorize it's a kind of residual demonic possession that a living person is unknowingly controlling. Number 1, night terrors. One of the most terrifying nightmares I ever had in my life involved demons, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was so creepy. It was so real. It clung to me all day until my friend offered to help me cleanse my room, and I was like, no! Now that makes it real. But the creepy part about nightmares is that throughout history, there are a series of patterns that reoccur depicting demons involved with nightmares or night terrors. A great example is the painting The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli, which depicts an ape-like creature sitting on the chest of a sleeping woman. Anyone who's ever experienced a night terror, not to be confused with nightmare, knows how terrifying they are. Your body literally freezes in a state called sleep paralysis, and you essentially dream while you're awake, unable to move. During this state, you could be visited by sleep demons, 1 of 3 to be exact. A documentary called Nightmare reviews the 3 most common demonic images people see while in this state: a man in a hat, a shadow figure, and a cat with red eyes. If that's not a demonic visitation, then I don't know what is. Hopefully, you now have a couple more signs to watch out for in your daily life that will help you avoid demons.
Starting off, Reddit user Ricora had a couple of run-ins with what she thinks could be some demons or one demon, because she was a part of a paranormal team in the UK called 2 Haunted Venues and then 2 Haunted Investigations. So we will be referring to her as Sherry, and thank you, Sherry, for giving me permission to share your stories. But that brings us into number 10, one of Sherry's stories, and it's a medium takeover. Now, this experience happened to one of her team members at the time, Mark, and he is a physical medium, so he lets spirits communicate through him with his energy instead of other common ways of mediumship like interpreting messages or other things like that. Not to like shame any type of medium, but there's different ones. And it's also important to note that Sherry says that she trusts Mark and his words, so we can kind of believe in the authenticity of these experiences. But basically, on a night of filming a Halloween special, Mark had what appeared to be a possession, or at least a negative experience with a spirit that was using his body. Apparently, it was a negative energy he had encountered before that was so bad that it had caused him to foam at the mouth, and his wife couldn't even snap him out of it. In this instance that Sherry saw, he was laying on the ground after collapsing mumbling and talking gibberish. As people tried to get him up or try to move him, he woke up, but Sherry said something felt off. While he had no physical changes, it was like it wasn't him. His voice was different, and looking at his face didn't really seem like it was Mark. He thrashed and resisted people helping him so much that someone's hand was forced against a wall and cut. It took 6 big guys to carry a slightly smaller Mark outside, and it smelt like sulfur, which can be known as a sign of demonic possession. And it took days for Mark to recover from this. So could this have been a demon that resurfaced for a second time, or a tormented spirit? What do we think? But let's move on next at number 9, In the Mirror. In 2017, a Reddit user on a now deleted account shared their story of a weird circumstance from their childhood. When they were 11 or 12, they stayed at their grandparents' house quite a bit. They stayed in the guest bedroom in the basement that went underused in between visits, and weird things kind of started happening. Things moved around in the room when they shouldn't have, and since the basement wasn't really accessible to their older relatives, they were kind of like, what's happening? There was a comb that was on the nightstand when before it was on the vanity, and then there were crumbs from a snack, but they didn't eat in that room, so Then they would wake up in the middle of the night to see greasy messages on the mirror of the vanity across from the bed. They didn't do them, and their grandparents couldn't really get there, so this is kind of what put them on edge the most. When they went to look in the mirror or to see it, they saw something behind themselves, so they turned around only to see there was nothing there. At that point, a chill overtook them, and when they returned to look in the mirror, it appeared as if the sheets moved behind them, and they thought, oh, nope, I am not sharing the bed with the demon, and went up to sleep on the living room couch. And I think that message was pretty clearly that someone had already made its home in the guest bedroom at Granny's. So, had to get out. But that's not the only way demons can communicate. At number 8, we have the devil has a cell phone. Back in 2014, a Polish priest named Father Marian Rachel carried out an exorcism on a teenage girl. He claims he wasn't able to drive the demon out of her soul, and as a result, is receiving taunting text messages from the demon through the teenage girl's phone. He said that the author of these texts is an evil spirit who has possessed her soul. And I know you want to know what some of these texts said, because it seems like a quite unique circumstance. So here are some examples. One is, "She will not come out of this hell. She's mine. Anyone who prays for her will die." And so Priesty replied, kind of something along the lines of, "I will pray for her," and then he got another response saying, "Shut up, preacher. You cannot save yourself, idiot. You pathetic old preacher." Which is kind of rude, but he said she should get further help for her possession. So was it a demon or a prank? I want to know. But if you think text is the only demon tech communication, think again, because at number 7 we have email chain. Now, years ago, a story circulated around on Reddit and Tumblr about a girl named Danny who tried to start a cursed email chain. If you don't remember those chains, they essentially said to forward the email to like 5, 10, or even more of your friends, or else you will have bad luck for eternity or something like that. Now, Danny's friends who told the story said that she seemed to grow more and more anxious and kind of unhinged as she prepared to communicate with a number of demons to try to make the scariest email chain possible. When she finally got in contact with one, apparently it sent her an email. No subject line, no sender, and only one phrase: desisto. And that's one of the Latin words for stop. Now, the next day at school, she told all of this to her friends, who were thankful because they hoped this sign would get her to stop, but she laughed at them and told them it was just the beginning. Now, this didn't really sit right with her friends, and it didn't really seem like her anymore, and it seemed like a different person talking in her body, so they were kind of thrown off, and then after that, her friends just never saw her again. Now, many people assume she just did this as a prank and then moved away, but it was never confirmed what happened, so was it a demon emailing her? Demailing her, maybe? That doesn't sound right. On to number 6, scratches from a demon. Now, this is the start of a string of events from Sherry, aka Reddit user Rakora. She did a public ghost hunt at Dudley Castle, and weird stuff happened in the dark. Basically, this team had people laying in these 2 stone coffins where it was common to feel like there is a pressure on your chest, like someone is pressing on it, and during this there was also a seance with a medium happening at a different table. Over at the medium, while not too much was happening, one of the guests said he felt like his face was burning, like the feeling after you've been slapped. I was just about to slap myself, but I won't. Anyways, they checked up on him, but he said he was alright. Then once the seance ended and people were getting out of the coffins, one of the people said their chest felt tight, so they put on all the lights for health and safety reasons, which is great, but then people gasped across the room by the medium. In Sherry's own words, the gentleman who had been slapped during the seance had 3 scratches down his face. They weren't human fingernail size, they almost looked like a cat had swiped his face, like really thin lines down his face. They were bleeding slightly, and we had to administer official first aid as an incident on site. Now, the weird thing is he never touched his face the entire time, as there were multiple cameras covering the event even in the dark room, kind of like dark light cameras. Really, that's a message not to mess with dark stuff if I've ever seen it. I'm already enough of a scaredy cat. Cat scratches too, wow. Ugh. Ooh. That's not even where the story ends. At number 5, dense darkness. So right after that, once the gentleman was moved and cleaned up in the next room to help with the scratches, the room was dark once again, and Sherry had her own unnerving experience. She stood next to the empty stone coffins and could feel a presence beside her. She could only see it in her periphery, but she described it as dense black, smaller than human, but human-like, with an almost goat-like face, kind of like Shadow's super tight, that type of dense black. And even when she turned to face it head on, she said it seemed as if she was getting an incomplete peripheral vision. It made her uncomfortable to the point that she even swapped places with a teammate. She noticed that her teammate may have felt the same presence, but he was enough of a skeptic that he didn't talk about it. Ever. She thinks that it could have been a demonic presence, which leads me to number 4. Final message from Dudley Demon. A year or so later, during a Halloween event, the same one where Mark had his unfortunate negative experience we talked about earlier, the team caught a mysterious image on camera. Sherry believes the image matches the demon or being she saw in one of the years prior, although another teammate says it was a cat. But what is more haunting about the story is that Sherry believes a demon, maybe that same demon in the photo, came home with her. That night, they caught the questionable footage. She was at peace after all of the questionable happenings and things that threw her off, but that wasn't normal for her. She was the sit down, decompress, don't sleep, lights on, watch a Disney movie type thing. Even as a paranormal investigator, she needed to do that. But this time, she was so calm. No one was at home, and she was blissful, living her life. She even heard steps up and down the stairs and felt like there was a presence outside her bedroom door, but knew no one was home. But she just passed out easy, unfazed, woke up right as rain. And you might be dismissing this as a nice coincidence of a good night's sleep, but just wait for it. A year later, going back to this same castle, Dudley Castle, for the first time since the last time, where Mark had his possession and they caught the strange footage, Sherry had forgotten about all this, but the second she stepped out the front door with all of her gear ready, something just washed over her. She felt feverish and like she was gonna pass out, and this kept going to the point that she was willing to try a spiritual cleanse with her medium, but when she walked through the archway in the castle courtyard, the feeling just lifted off her. It felt like something, the demon, had used her body as a lift back and forth, just wanted a year's vacay from the castle, and then hitched a ride. Maybe. I think that honestly makes the most sense. But let's go to number 3, a demon in his home. Reddit user Annoying Rooster wanted to share his story 3 years ago about a run-in with a demon that made him move out of his place. It all started when he had a really bad dream at the beginning of October. He recounted parts of it, like something hovering over his bed and giving him a disgusted look, and then waited minutes past and something said in a faint whisper, it was just a weird dream, and he dismissed it as a nightmare and just went out for a walk. He locked his door on the way out, cleared his head for a couple hours. Kind of a good idea. I like taking walks. But when he came back, his front door was just wide open. He was thrown off, obviously, and a bit shaken, but he dismissed it, but that wasn't the end of it. At number 2, demons back again. A bit later that month, he got home late and his house was more heated than usual. It was really cold outside and it was just 83 degrees Fahrenheit in his house. He thought that was kind of weird, but then he just went and gamed on his computer, like we all do. But then, a couple hours later, he heard a bang in another room in his apartment. No one was there, even when he went to search, but he found a large hole against his wall, and his snow globe had fallen over and cracked and dented, and when he went back to his computer, it was off. And not asleep, but off, the VGA cord was unplugged, and he felt like he was being watched, so he, on a whim, took a photo, and in the photo, there were 2 red eyes looking at him. After that, there were more small incidents, seeing things from the corner of his eye, hearing knocking and footsteps, but it all came to a head on December 4th, which leads us to our number 1, demon eviction. Now, at this point, Reddit user Annoying Rooster, he was kind of used to small tapping noises and dismissed them, but on December 4th he heard a loud slam, so he waited and then investigated. He was checking to see why his bathroom light that he always left on was off when he felt an extreme burning sensation on the back of his hand, and there were 3 scratch marks across the top. He made his way back to his bedroom and looked back to the bathroom to see the form of what must have been a demon in the bathroom doorframe. To quote, I saw what looked like something so tall its head touched the ceiling. It was all black, but with distinct features of a huge figure and what looked to be also horns on the top of its head. It also had the same piercing red eyes as the photo. So he did the smart thing and grabbed what he needed for work the next day and got the heck out of there. Cause if it can leave a physical touch, it's something. You know. And so he moved out completely and found out that the owner of the home, much later, had passed and the house caught on fire and burnt to the ground. So he doesn't want to know how or why, but obviously something off was there.
And number 10, we have Elfagor. If you ever felt lazy, like you just want to roll around on the ground instead of working, if so, you should probably talk to someone about that and not blame an evil demon called Elfagor. But this dude is one of the main henchmen of the evil sin Sloth. You know Sloth, just laying around all day, watching the worst commercials in between episodes of Maury and Judge Judy. Trash TV really is the best. Sloth will send this dude out to make sure you never get up from the couch and become a blob that should be cranked out of their home on some sort of crane or something like that. Also, something Elfagor will do will tempt you with getting rich. The temptation of money with no work. Oh my god, this guy invented the original pyramid scheme. Like all those ads you see where guys like, you want to make money? You want to make $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 all right from home? This guy did the first one of those. At number 9, we have the Leviathan. This is probably one of the most famous beasts in the Bible. This guy is a massive sea snake and it roams the seas, making it super hard for boats to get around. It can swallow them up in just one bite. Sorry, those headphones you ordered from China, they aren't gonna make it because some big old water snake ate them and now you're gonna have to listen to music on the subway from the speakers like some sort of psychopath. Side note, when we see people doing that on the subway, we should just all blast music from our phones at them so it drowns out that annoying person. Jesus, who does that? What kind of weirdo does those things? Anyways, back to the monster. It's said that it has multiple heads, skin so thick that no weapon can pierce it, and a heart made of a material harder than stone. It's safe to say that this thing is hard to kill. Some saints have said that the Leviathan is a demon attached to the deadly sin envy. I don't know what this creature has to be envious about. Maybe deep down inside he just wants to be a dude that just has 2 legs and walks around. He's like Little Mermaid syndrome. And number 8, we have Nephilim. Now there are 2 popular interpretations of these demons and I'm going to give you both of them and then you can fight in the comments over which one is right so I can get a little entertainment. Now one of the translations of Nephilim is fall, suggesting that it could mean fallen angels for those who made it up to heaven or who God created and then they fell to earth because they were being bad, which I didn't even know was a thing. I thought once you made it to heaven you were scot-free. Like you have to keep being good once you're there. When do you get to start being bad? This is such a raw deal. You're better off just trying your luck in hell. At least you could be yourself there. The other interpretation of Nephilim is giants, suggesting that there might have been giants walking the earth eating people. Either way, you do not want to run into these dudes. At number 7, we have the Noonday Demon. This is more of a metaphor than a demon, but in some cases it has been personified as an actual being. Basically, the Noonday Demon is a creature that will come in at midday and try to distract you from all the stuff you want to do, like, ooh, look at my hands. Really, this is just how people feel after lunch. Back in the day when the Bible was written, noon was the hottest time of day. You wouldn't want to work. You would just want to lay around and have a nice little siesta. There's nothing wrong with that. Taking a little snooze and then getting up later when it's cooler and then getting back to work. I don't know if the Noonday Demon is a bad guy or an innovator. At number 6, we have a Dremel. Okay, hell seems pretty bad, but it seems like you might be able to get an amazing job down there. Like a Dremel. He is the Chancellor of Hell, and I have no idea what that means, but it sounds really cool. Like if a guy handed me a business card with Chancellor of Hell on it, I would think he's like does cool business stuff. His body is apparently the face of a mule, and he has the tail of a peacock and the body of a human, which means he has amazing abs. And if that wasn't enough for you guys, he's also in charge of picking the devil's clothes. This guy has the best fashion sense in all of hell. Like think about all the people who are in hell. There are billions. And this dude knows fashion better than any of them. I know he's an evil demon, but I would want him to at least pick out one outfit for me. Just one, so I could look fire for an event. Like you go to the Met Gala or something, be like, dude, just one, I'll sell my soul, I swear to God. At number 5, we have Succubuses. Succubi? Probably the sexiest of the demons. Succubus has one goal and one goal only. She wants to get in your pants and play with your ding dong and then suck out your life force. Sounds like a fun way to die, but I promise you it's super spooky and you won't like it. A succubus feeds off your energy and will slowly make you sick, deteriorate your mental health, and eventually lead you to death. Really, this just sounds like regular dating. It's so close to regular dating that I've made a list of pointers for you to know if you're dating a succubus or a real person. Starting off, does the person have hooves instead of feet? When they blink, do their eyelids move sideways? Do they have sharp claws or teeth? And most importantly, when you hang out with them, do you feel emotionally drained and then need a nap? If she checks off all these marks, well then she's a nice lady and you should keep seeing her. At number 4, we have Gello. Are you excited about having a baby? Have you picked out the crib, the clothes, and the name, and all you need is to find the man now? Well, you better hope that Gello doesn't get her grubby little hands on your baby, because she's got something against people having a happy family. Gello is a demon that is only focused on one thing, to make it impossible for you to have kids. That's kind of messed up, dude. I think even the pyramid scheme demon is like, dude, chill, that's overkill, my god. Anyone who Gello preys on can experience something that will stop them from having children. Something like their reproductive organs being damaged. Sometimes if you already are pregnant, she will attack the fetus, causing a miscarriage. And once a baby is born, it's still not safe. While that little bundle of joy is still in baby form, she could still kill it. On the bright side, adoption's an option, I guess? Oof, I don't know, this one seems creepy. At number 3, we have Telemachus. This dude is a bamf. He's basically Santa Claus, but he finds everyone on the naughty list and then tortures them for as long as he wants. Some people think that this dude is actually the devil himself, while other people think he's just the embodiment of horror. Basically, if you do anything against God, like have an abortion and then have sex with a bunch of people, this dude pops up and will just start to ruin your day. So just be good in the eyes of God, or don't. I make top 10 lists. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. At number 2, we have the Demogorgon. This name has been popularized thanks to the hit Netflix series Stranger Things.
It's not like it was before. It's grown a lot. And I mean, that's considering we can get in there. The place is crawling with those dogs.
And to be honest, how this thing is represented in the Bible isn't too different from how this thing is in the show. It is the Lord of the Underworld. But in the Bible version, it is much more powerful. He has dominion over fate in hell. What does that mean exactly? Well, he's basically the regional manager of hell. Like once a year, he holds a big meeting where all the lesser demons come in and he lets them know what the goals are for the year. Like spread hate, possess people, torment children, kill the Pope. Let's get on that one, guys. We're really short on that one. And once he's given out all his orders, they fly out and make the world a more hellish place. This guy makes 7 figures for sure. And for the number 1 spot, we have Baphomet, probably one of the most controversial demons in recent years. He has become the poster boy for religious equality in America. He's got a human body, a goat head, and some massive wings. And honestly, he's pretty ripped. This guy works out for sure. Also, Baphomet can be whatever gender you want. Sometimes Baphomet is depicted as a man, while other times a lady, and sometimes cross in between. He represents all satanic values, the ability to indulge in all the 7 deadly sins, to truly enjoy life without abstaining from anything, and the freedom to wear as much black lipstick as you want. Some people think that he is worshipped by secret groups of the elite like the Freemasons and the Illuminati. They love the devil god because they believe he has chosen them to indulge in all the bodily pleasures above everyone else. A great story about Baphomet is how the Church of Satanism wanted to erect a statue of him in the Oklahoma state capitol because the capitol erected monuments of the 10 Commandments. That is religious equality.